I kiss you, you don't kiss me back. I know where that tongue goes. Don't want it. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Emily Knits podcast channel. We have a guest. Yes, it's you. I don't know how long he'll stay for. He's been asleep next to me on the sofa this morning. Oh, okay, about 30 seconds we'll stay for apparently. Can you stay still? My name is Emily, and this is Pepper, who is currently fidgeting there. Is that okay? There we go. My name's Emily. This is Pepper. I am a knitter and crocheter in my mid-30s, based in the north of Nottinghamshire in the UK. Okay, go on there. That's fine. Okay, we've lied down now. Based in the north of Nottinghamshire in the UK. He's decided he's going to lie down, so he is down here to the side of me. He may come and make himself known at some point today, but we shall see. Yeah, I'm a knitter and crocheter in my mid-30s, based in the north of Nottinghamshire in the UK, where I live with my other half and our 2 dogs, one of whom you've just seen, close to Sherwood Forest. I have a traditional format podcast to talk to you about today. I've got no finished objects. I'm getting my notes out because I need to remember them, because I'm not very good at remembering them off the top of my head. I've got no finished objects. I've got a half finished object. I've got some good progress on a couple of things that we showed last time. And a couple of new cast-ons. I've been in a little bit of an accessory mood, so I've got a couple of cast-ons to talk about, but we will get into it before I start waffling properly. Before I forget, because I always forget, let's talk about where you can find me. I'm always fairly active in the comments, particularly the first couple of days after an upload, so if you comment down below, I will probably see that and come back to you. You can contact me on Instagram. I am at Emily_knits_ on Instagram, which is the same as the channel name. Please feel free to follow me. I'll probably follow you back. Please feel free to follow, message me, whatever, on Instagram. You can find me on Ravelry as EmilyKnits36. Again, feel free to send me a friend's request, anything like that. You can also contact me via email, which is emilyknitspodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on Ko-fi if you wanted to support the podcast as Emily Knits. And if you wanted to support through buying me a pattern, I do have a Ravelry wish list, which is down below if you felt like buying me a pattern off of there. That's everywhere you can find me. Please feel free to contact me. I love speaking to you guys, so yeah, please feel free to reach out. I'll touch briefly on what I'm wearing before we properly get started. This looks so much better on camera than it does in real life. That sounds really bad. This is the Lapidarium by Marina Skua. This is a colourwork sweater with, no, it doesn't have colourwork. It's got contrast coloured sleeves, cuffs, and then this beautiful colourwork yoke, which is in 4 colours, and it has quite a thin little sort of neckline at the top here. I knit this last year, 2023, as a test knit for Marina when she was releasing this, and it's actually knit in her own wool. This is possibly the warmest thing that I own, and you may have seen from the cutscene, like I'm a game, the cutscene that I put in at the beginning, the footage that I put in at the beginning of the dog walk and the weather that we've been having, that the weather in the UK at the moment it's taken a bit of a turn. So where I live in the UK, in the Midlands, basically, we're on the edge of the Midlands, we normally don't get the extremes of anything. We get the edges of a lot of stuff. We get a little bit of bad weather, we get a little bit of this, we get a little bit of that, but we don't really tend to get loads of snow, we don't really tend to get the really cold weather, anything like that. This time, we got the worst of the snow that's hit the UK in the last few days. And you'll have seen the footage of me taking the dog for a walk. That's a stitch marker up there. Let's get rid of that. You'll have seen the footage of me taking the dog for a walk. And what I will do is I'll put in a picture here of the bit that I've shown, where I might put it back up on screen again to make it clear, but the bit where you can see me wobbling some snow off some branches because the branches are almost touching the floor in front of me. That's the same bit as this picture that I took this morning. Now a lot of the snow's gone, and that just shows you how deep that snow is. I don't think I really remember snow like that, even from when I was a kid, because where I lived as a kid, we didn't really get extremes of it either. I appreciate people who live places like Canada and stuff like that, or anywhere that gets properly cold, it's not a lot of snow. But we've been down to about -5, and it's been properly snowy. And I've been craving accessories, I've been craving warmth, and I've been craving woolliness. And this is probably the warmest and woolliest thing that I've made. So this is made entirely in her Mend It DK. and I can't remember the colours I picked. These aren't generally colours that I would pick for myself, although saying that on camera, they do look really, really good. I intended to knit this for my husband, but when I ended up knitting it, the size fit me a lot better, and the style of it with this quite wide neck just suits me a lot better rather than him. So it ended up being something that I wear more. It's my sweater. But I picked the colours with him in mind, and Marina helped me pick the colours. So they're not really colours that I would normally go for. And I feel like this has got more contrast on camera than it has in person. And some of this beautiful geometric colour work gets almost lost a bit in the colours. I'll see if I can put in a picture if it shows up a bit more sort of true to life. But it is beautiful. It's just not, if I was knitting it for myself, I would have picked different colours. But I'm pretty certain. So there's a few I know. Then the green I'm not sure on. So the dark brown, which is absolutely beautiful, which is the sort of main colour, is beach. The brighter orangey orangey brown is fox. The grey is sheep, which is her undyed, or sheepy, which is her undyed base. And the green I think is bloom, but I will check that. I can't remember the name of the green. The green's lovely. It's probably my favourite colour of the whole thing, actually, but I can't remember the colour of it. And I'm pretty certain these were all on her sheepy bases. Or I think, is it sheepy and cloudy? She used to do sunny and cloudy. One is a lighter base and the other's a darker base, and I'm pretty certain all of these are on a lighter base. I will confirm all of this in the notes and things like that. And it is pilling a little bit, but this does get quite a lot of wear, and it is worn up very, very well. It is super nice and warm and woolly, so this gets a lot of wear this time of year when it gets cold. It's excellent for dog walking. I just put a t-shirt underneath it to give me an extra layer. I don't currently have anything underneath this, so it's not rustic enough that I can't wear it next to skin. And yeah, because I knit it with nice long sleeves, because it was going to be for my other half, it's a really lovely jumper and it fits me really nicely as well. So very highly recommend this. Would definitely knit it again. I would just probably knit it in some different colours. I know she's got a sample, or she was doing a sample, that I'm going to have to try and put a picture up on screen of, because it's like she had this red and blue in it, and it was really, they look like jewels, which is what she was, I'm pretty certain what she was inspired by, the facets on jewels, if I remember that rightly. So yeah, really like this pattern. I love all of Marina's patterns, but this is a very good one. So yeah, the knitwear is needed, the accessories that I've cast on are going to be needed, and I have a warm drink, which is also required. I've got a coffee. So let's jump into it and get yourself a drink, a snack, something to work on, and we'll start rattling through some things. So the first thing to talk to you about, I'm back. I'm expecting a delivery from the postie today. My passport should be coming back in my new name. And I thought that's what it was, but it was just asking me to take something in for the neighbour. So not great. And well, not what I wanted, but that's fine. Yeah, what was I saying? My coffee is a bit stronger than I would like it to be. I have run out of milk. I could have just gone to the shop and get some. Did I do that? No. Did I just make myself a coffee and it's a bit strong because there's not much milk in it? Yep. We have lost the dog now. He's about to have a drink, so you might be able to hear that. I'm really sorry if that picks up. Yeah, my first thing that I was going to talk about is my half-finished object, which is my Giverny Socks by Little Loops. You come back up? Come on then. You come see? No? Okay. He is here. So this was a test knit for Little Loops, who is Jane, and you can find her as, I think it's Little Loops _knitting on Instagram. I'll pop it all on the screen so you can find her. And these are some lovely, you still can't see them even though I finished them and blocked them because I've picked some noisy yarn. These are really lovely lace patterned socks, so it's sort of a lace and rib pattern, with I've chosen to do a picot cuff at the top, and I have partridge heel, then it from the top down, cuff down. So I knit the larger size in the pattern. These come in, there's like a 60 stitch and a 70 stitch size, which are basically sort of pretty close to a 64 and a 72 stitch that you would normally knit in a vanilla sock. And I knit the 70 stitch because I usually end up knitting 72 stitches. And I will put on screen a picture of Jane's sample where you can see this texture a lot better because it's really, really nice. But I decided to do it in this yarn, which is poinsettia, the poinsettia colourway from Mothie and the Squid in their 75-25 merino nylon base. This was a colourway that my mum was really taken by at the Wool Monty. Every time I want to call it the Woolly Good Gathering. Yeah, my mum was really taken with the colourway and really wanted it, but by the time we went back to get it, it had gone. So I ordered her a skein from the website when it came back for their Christmas colourways, and I've made her these socks out of it. These are a little bit big. They're a little bit big even on me, and my feet are a little bit bigger than my mum's. So I'm debating. I haven't started the second sock yet. I could take it back and just sort of take it back about that much and then start the toe again. But she does quite like a bigger sock. She won't want something super tight on her foot, so it might be okay. But yeah, really, really happy with how these have turned out. I did the picot edge. Like I said, they come with a picot edge, but they do also come with an option for, I think it's a 1x1 rib cuff in the pattern. And obviously, if you're a more experienced sock knitter, you can just substitute your own cuff in. But I'd never done a picot, and I'm very pleased with how it turned out. Again, it's not super clear because I picked really, really sort of very variegated yarn, but a really beautiful pattern. I think I'll be making multiples of these. I think they look really nice in a solid colour. It was a very fun, satisfying pattern to knit up. It's a 4-round repeat for the lace, so it was very easy to memorise. I found, for me, this was a quick sock. So I cast this on this sock, so this is just one, on the 4th of November, and I finished it on the 18th of November. I wasn't working monogamously on this. I was working on multiple other things. So it took me 14 days to knit on 2.5mm short circulars. I found a bit of a sweet spot for those, and what I ended up doing was, the moment I got to the heel, I took it off the short circulars, or I left the short circular on the front, and then I knit the heel back and forth on some long 2.5mm needles, and I did the same for the toe. And I usually do something like that, but I usually do the heel on the small circulars, and then I usually try and get as far as I can on the toe without switching. And this time I just did it straight away, and it made it so much easier and so much quicker, and it made this bit so much less of a drag, I guess is maybe the way to put it, of me trying to force myself to do it. So yeah, that's the first one finished. I haven't cast on the second one yet. I'm going to do that fairly quickly. But these are going to be a Christmas present for my mum. We're not actually seeing my parents for Christmas. They are away for Christmas as a wee, but they are out of the country. So we're seeing them probably early January, which is about when my mum's birthday is. So I've got probably about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks extra after Christmas to finish these. So I've got plenty of time to do the second, and I'm not going to do that just yet, but very happy with how this first one has turned out. Beautiful. So that is my half finished object. Let's talk about progress on some things that I've been working on. So the first thing I'm going to update you on, I'm not going to update you on again for a bit, and that is my Festive Vivienne crocheted blanket by Alice Tarry is the designer name. I believe on Instagram she is the Borough. So this is where we are at with this. Oh, you can see there with the lights behind that it's not a super dense texture. I was going to talk about that because the way you do it means that let me start from the beginning. Let me not get ahead of myself. So this is a crochet blanket which is designed to look like tartan, and you do all these horizontal stripes, and then you come back afterwards and you do, I think it's overlay crochet to do some horizontal stripes, and it looks very much like tartan. I'll put up some pictures here. The original pattern is called Be More Vivienne, and it's designed to be in sort of colours inspired by Vivienne Westwood. And then this is the Festive Vivienne, which is the version that she released that is more intended to look like Christmas tartan. I'm really, really enjoying working this up. This is, where are we? I'm crocheting this on a 5mm hook, which is the recommended hook size. I haven't gauge swatched. It's a blanket, and I'm really happy with how it's working out. Essentially the way you do it is it's almost like filet crochet. You're chaining in between each stitch and you don't go into each one to create this, whilst you're creating still it's not see-through, and it's a nice warm fabric. It's not super dense and heavy, and you can see that when I hold it up like that, the light's coming through it a bit. So I'm really liking how this is knitting up. And then you leave your ends out and you trim them as fringe. So you don't weave your ends in either, which is quite nice. I like that. I mean, you obviously could if you didn't want fringe on it, but I quite like a bit of fringe on a blanket. So we're going to continue doing that. I am using... So the original recommended yarn for the Be More Vivienne is Stylecraft Grace, which I have crocheted and knit with before and I do really like. But then for the Festive Vivienne, she put that together with colours from Yarnsmiths in their Create Aran. And I realised I got one of the colours wrong last time, so I was going to correct that. So we have We have black and cream, which are quite obvious, black and cream. This yellow is called Antique Gold. The green is called Christmas Green. And then the red, which is this one, is the one that I got wrong last time. This is not Christmas Red. There isn't a Christmas Red. This is Scarlet Red. Shade 4100 Scarlet Red. These are all 100% acrylic. 100 grams gives you 195 metres or 210 yards, and they're quite affordable. I feel like the cost of all of this was less than £20, or maybe just over £20. And it's really nice to work with, actually. I wanted to try some of the Yarnsmiths Create DK to see if the DK weight acrylic is similar. But yeah, it's a decent quality acrylic. The more I've crocheted with it, the more I like it. It's a nice acrylic. It's not squeaky particularly. I know that's what a lot of people sort of say about a lot of people sort of say about acrylic is it's squeaky. I don't know if I'd use it for a garment, but I feel like Aran weight acrylic would be quite heavy for a garment, but for a blanket it's lovely. I mean, look at those colours. It's absolutely gorgeous, and the more I do of it, the more it really does remind me of tartan. It's very well thought out. Honestly, I'm tempted to make these to order next year, to just sit and crochet them. I also thought of different colour schemes I could do them in. I used to have, years back, going on a tangent now, I used to have an Etsy shop where I made things to order, particularly hats, gloves, scarves, things like that, and they were all crocheted. And I thought I could reinstate that, but essentially do it for blankets and just do it with a much longer lead time. So you may see me looking at doing that in the new year. I am very, very tempted because I've really enjoyed this. I've really loved making it. And I don't need loads and loads of crochet blankets. I particularly don't need loads of the same thing. But I'm really enjoying it. So we'll see. I might have decided by the time I finished it that I don't want to do that. And I will say as well that it does say on the pattern that you can sell finished items of this as long as you credit the designer. So I'm not, jumping in with anything that I wouldn't do that if it didn't say that in the pattern. But yeah, really enjoying it. The reason I say I'm not going to mention this much more moving forwards for a bit is because this is essentially one repeat of the pattern, and you repeat this until you've done, I think it's 4, and then you do a half repeat again or something, and then you start doing the overlay crochet. So until the point that I'm doing the overlay crochet, I'm basically just going to be showing you bigger and bigger blocks of this. So I'm probably not going to show you this until I've got to the point where I'm going to be doing the overlay crochet. But I don't think that will take me that long. I started this on the 14th of November. Yes, so it's been on the hooks at the moment for 8 days, and I've just been picking this up as and when I fancy a bit of crochet in the evenings, and it's very addictive when you start working on it, as you can see, because I think I was in this red stripe or maybe just in the green when we spoke last week, and this is all this week. So yeah, really, really liked it. One thing to note, if you do crochet this pattern, I was a bit confused by it, and Mona of Get Your Knits Out is also crocheting one at the same time, and she said the same thing that I did. If you do crochet this pattern, make sure you read the instructions, don't just follow the chart. Because what I did was I did the first couple of rows, worked out what I was doing, and then thought, well, I know what I'm doing now, I'm just going to follow the chart. And on the chart, there is an extra black row at the top, which would be here. So I did all the way to the end of the chart and then started back at the bottom of the chart. But the pattern, when you read it, actually tells you to do all of the chart and then to start at row 2 of the chart at the bottom. So you only have 1 black strip up here, not 2, if that makes any sense. I'm trying to explain it without giving away the pattern, obviously. But I didn't read that until I got to this point, and I had this thicker black strip here. So I ended up having to frog back and redo it, which is why I've got a couple of very long tails as well on this side, because I used the little strips that I'd taken out. But yeah, just read the pattern, don't just follow the chart, because the chart will have you add an extra black row in that you don't need. I'm assuming that is going to be for the half repeat or whatever it is that you do, because you maybe need that black stripe at the end. But yeah, just one thing to note about that. But otherwise, very easily written pattern. The only thing that took me a little bit is you need so when you buy the pattern, you buy the Gilmour Vivienne pattern, the Festive Vivienne is in there. But the sort of add-on that you have for the Festive Vivienne is just the colours that you need, and which colour. So colour A is this one, colour B is this one. So you need to look at that and then go back and get the instructions from the Gilmour Vivienne. So it took initially a little bit of flitting back and forth to remember, okay, this is colour A, this is colour B, or whatever. But once I'd got it, the pattern is really quite easy to memorise. I knew what I was doing with the stitch counts and stuff like that, and the stitch pattern. And yeah, really, really happy with how this is turning out. I would still like it done by Christmas. I do think that's doable. I don't know how hard it's going to be to do the overlay crochet, so that might be the thing that changes it. But currently, I think this might be doable by Christmas, and I'm very, very pleased with it. Very pleased. Okay, so the next thing. I really should have gone and got some milk. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to show you that I've done quite a lot of work on is my sample knit for woolly knit. So this is the Amelia cardigan. I've brought the pattern down to show you if I could get it there without any glare on it. This is the Amelia cardigan by woolly knit. Can I show you? I think I can. I'm going to try not to give away any instructions. Yeah, Amelia cardigan in Aran by woolly knit, and I'm going to try really hard not to give away any instructions because it is a written pattern. I'm really enjoying this. This is a all over cable cardigan, and you can't see the cables there. There you go. It's knit in pieces from the bottom up and then seamed at the end. I have finished my back panel. So I think when I spoke to you last time, we were maybe about there? And I finished the back panel, which looks a really odd shape, but I promise I've measured it. I've measured it to the dimensions and it is right. Let me fold it a bit so I can come up and show you this cabling, because I'm really loving the texture of this. This is really hard to show. So you've got these lovely big diamond cables, you've got some moss stitch sections, you've got these smaller cables, you've got these ones which I really like the look of. I've done these on a couple of other projects, and then the bubbles, which usually I really don't like bubbles generally, but these are fun to knit and I love the texture that they're making. So yeah, very, very nice pattern. I was a bit worried that this looks tiny, but it's just because I'm sample knitting the 36 to 38 inch size, which is about 10 inches smaller than my actual bust. So I kept looking at this going like, this is a kid size. Looking at it thinking, this is a kid size, this isn't going to fit me. There's no way it's not supposed to fit me, but this isn't the right size. There's no way this is. I love how the twisted ribs come out in this yarn as well. And actually, once I'd finished this, I haven't blocked this panel yet, but once I'd finished it, I laid it out and I stretched it ever so slightly because it will grow a bit with blocking. And it's perfectly to the dimensions in the pattern, so it is coming out absolutely fine. What I'm working on this at the moment, I haven't brought over to show you, because essentially the thing that you do now is you do a couple of pocket linings, which you then integrate into the fronts as you knit them. And the pocket linings are just two completely flat squares of stockinette. So I'm working my way through one of those, and there was no point bringing them to show you because that's not interesting, but this is interesting. So yeah, I've got the pocket linings to do, then you do the two fronts and you integrate the pockets into them. Then you do the sleeves. Yeah, then you do the sleeves, and then you join it all together. So actually this is the biggest piece of knitting I'm going to do. And it has taken me a little while. I didn't actually write when I cast this on, but it has taken me a little while. But it's once you get into it and I get the cables established, it doesn't take me long at all. So this is probably going to have a lot of progress on it when we next speak. This is I'm knitting this in their 100% British wool Aran that comes on cones in the shade Cream. And it's beautiful. I will put a link down below to their website because somebody said before I assume people know it, and I shouldn't, because somebody said they'd struggled to find it. But Woolly Knit are a really good, fairly affordable source of yarn. They do, particularly the yarn on cones, they do a 4-ply 100% British wool. They do a merino that I've never actually tried, 100% merino from them. They then do this one, which is 100% British wool Aran weight. They do a Guernsey weight, which is 5-ply, and it's probably about a DK, a bit of a light DK. I knit a sample for them in that on 3.75mm needles, and it came out really nicely. And then they do some summery cones as well, and I think they do acrylic cones, and they're quite budget friendly, and especially this time of year they tend to have quite a lot of Black Friday deals on and things like that, so definitely worth checking out. But their Aran is probably one of my favourites, and I do really rate the 4-ply British wool cones as well. So yeah, this is being knit on 4.5mm needles for the rib and 5mm needles for the body, so it's going quite quickly, and yeah, not hurting my hands or anything at all. It's just very satisfying to knit. So that will be progressing next time we speak. The next one to show you, I'm loving this so much. I'm loving this so much. You'll know from watching my podcast, and even just from watching this podcast, it is quite clear I am not a monogamous knitter. I'm just not. It's just not in my vocabulary. It's not how I like to knit. It's not how I like to work on projects. It's just not me. But sometimes every so often a project comes along that makes me think maybe I could be a monogamous knitter. And maybe this is the one I want to be monogamous for, and this has been it. And this project has absolutely been it. This has been the one that's made me want to settle down and just stop playing the field a bit. I've had to stop myself because I did myself a bit of a disservice, or how do you say it? I did myself a bit of a mischief, that's it, on Saturday, because all I wanted to work on was this, and I sat most of the day and worked on this. We did go out for several hours to Leeds, so we spent several hours walking around and having a nice time, and I just worked on it in the evening when we came back. But the next day, because I'd sat and worked on one project, and I'd done it for quite a few hours, and I don't think I'd moved position very much, and I got into that real flow state. And I should say, I do have a pre-existing problem with this shoulder that flares up from time to time. The next day, I was in a lot of pain. It's really rare for me to have enough pain that I don't want to knit. I can usually, with some heat and things like that, or ice if need be. See, now I'm talking about my shoulder. I feel like it's flaring up, so I'm doing that. I can be fine. I can be okay to work on it, because it isn't just I've overdone it. It's that I have this thing that, you know, I can help and I can move forward with. But yeah, it's really rare for me to have enough pain to not be able to knit. And from sitting too long and working on this, I had enough pain that I didn't want to knit. So I've had to be a bit more steady with it. Let me see if I can get this to a place where I can show it to you a bit better. This is the West Sands Pullover by Rebecca of Journey Through Yarn. When we spoke last time, I was about eight or 9 rows off splitting for sleeves. I have since split for the sleeves, so we have some sleeves, and I started the colour work. Look how good it is. So this is a top-down raglan colourwork sweater, but it's not a colourwork yoke. You can see it's a plain yoke. And then you have these 4 colourwork stripes on the body, which are actually textured colourwork. I don't know if you could see them when I was holding it up. There are knits and pearls in there, so it creates this beautiful textured colourwork. And then you have these stripes of stockinette in between, and you can see there I've started my second colourwork stripe. I love this so much. Everything is perfect on this. The needle size is good. I think I'm on 4mm needles. Yeah. I'm knitting out on 4mm needles. I'm loving the wool. I'm loving how the colours are working out. I'm loving how the pattern looks. I'm loving the pattern itself. I tried this on the other day to do a fit check, and I will put a picture on the screen. It's not the best. I think I'm in my bathroom, but you can see how it fits on me really well. It's fitting so nicely. I'm so happy with all of this. So this is the main colour, the grey, is light natural grey in the Warth Mill DK from Woolly Knit, which is this beautiful sort of tonal grey. It's really, really lovely. It's 100% British wool. The beige around the top of here and at the top of the colourwork is Tucker Wool DK, as is, you can't see it very well actually because it's quite similar to that red. Can I show you? There's 2 colours there. You can maybe see it a bit better on this bottom stripe because I'm just knitting with it at the moment. So this is the orange, and this is the caramelly creamy colour. These are both Tucker Wool DK. This is the shade Hiesu, I think it is, and this is the shade Repo. I said last time I thought this was discontinued, and I don't think it is. I just think it's not possible to get it in the UK anymore. All I could see in the UK was the fingering weight and the worsted weight. I think I couldn't see the DK, which is a shame because these are really lovely. These are really fun to knit with and really beautiful. This is 100% finish wool, quite rustic but lovely. This is the light natural grey in ball form, so you can see it. And then the red in the middle is some Loch Lomond from BC Garn. This is in the shade Fire Red, complete with dog hair as always. And it's this lovely bright tweedy red, really, really nice. And again, this has been lovely to work with. This is 100% organic wool, I think. And yeah, I just want to work on this. It is so good. It is so good. I think if it didn't hurt my hands too much, I think I could sit down and finish this in probably about 3 days. And it's only hurting my hands because I'm working on it too much, not because of the pattern or anything like that. This has been on the needles for... I cast it on the 7th of November. So it's been on the needles today, 15 days, which is quite... Oh no, have I lost stitches? Oh no. It's quite quick anyway to have made this amount of progress on a sweater in that time. But yeah, I've been slowing myself down on it because I really could just sit and knit. Look how good that looks. And I love this big wide raglan as well. This looks really nice and almost structural. I'm in love with this. I'm so in love with this. I really like that you have, when you've got your first sort of rush of excitement for a project, you're going through all this plain stockinette raglan increases, which, let's be honest, if it gets to a certain point and it's a little bit boring, especially when you get to the point where you're just about to split the sleeves and you've got 200, 300, 400 stitches on the sleeves for my size sometimes, on the needles. But then you bind off, you get through that, and then you get into the fun bit and you're on the body, but you're just knitting some colour work. And actually it's a 10 row colour work and then 10 rows of stockinette. So also you keep your momentum through that, and yeah, absolutely gorgeous. It's got the same colour work on the sleeves as you work down the sleeves. So I'm going to be doing more of it as well. And then you do a little contrast like that. But I think one of the other colours, you do a little contrast at the bottom and everything like that. So yeah, super happy with this. I'm knitting size 4. I spoke about last time how I'm knitting a size down from the recommended size for me in the pattern, but the recommended size would give me about 10 inches of positive ease, which is just a bit much for me. I prefer more like 4. So Rebecca had agreed, because this is part of a test knit, that I could knit the smaller size, and I'm so happy with how it's fitting on me. If you are interested in seeing how it would normally fit with the recommended amount of positive ease, I can recommend Addie of the Knits by AJ podcast has also test knit this. She's finished hers. She did it in some really beautiful colours. All of Loch Lomond DK actually, which is this red in the centre. And she's knit the first size, so it's a bit smaller than what I'm knitting, but she's knit it with the recommended amount of positive ease. So if you want to see how it should look with that amount of positive ease, go back and check out her podcast. I think it was a couple of episodes ago. She talked about it and showed it and everything. And yeah, you can see how it's supposed to fit. I'm really sorry if I'm flustered. The next door neighbour's dog is barking like crazy. But yeah, this is where we're at. Very, very happy with this. I really want to just sit and work on this. But other things need to be finished first. And also, I think I might actually kill my hands and my shoulders if I do. So yeah, I've put it to one side for now. And I just keep picking it up as and when. And then I've got a couple of new cast-ons to talk about. Like I said, they're small, they're accessories. One is a test, the other is just something my other half's asked for. But I've really been in the mood for accessories because it's been cold, like I said. Which one shall we talk about first? Where's that gone? Lost one. We'll talk about this since I've now just found it. So, in a nice little wool warehouse organza bag is a cast-on that I have started for my other half. So I mentioned a few episodes back, I think when I came back from Portugal and I was talking about my acquisitions, that he had requested a pair of gloves. So he's got some sealskins, which are waterproof, windproof gloves. We won't talk about the fact that they don't seem to be particularly waterproof. He's not super impressed with that. But they don't particularly keep him massively warm, and he comes back with very, very cold fingers. So he'd asked for some gloves to go underneath them, basically glove liners essentially. And I'd said I was going to do some out of the Mondim that I'd brought back, that one skein of Mondim that we don't talk about, that was dyed by Lapidarium and was very expensive. And I said I was going to do them out of that for him. I'm going to turn that into a muscle for him, and he actually picked some other yarn that he wanted made into gloves. He found this himself. I'd never ordered this before, but it's really nice. So this is what they're being knit out of. This is from World of Wool. I have ordered from World of Wool before because they do a lot of spinning supplies. They do lots of fibre. I think they probably do wheels and spindles and things like that as well. I'm not a spinner. I have very recently, within the last couple of weeks, actually got rid of all my spinning stuff. I had a drop spindle. I had a Turkish drop spindle as well. And I had a few things of fluff, of fibre. And I'm just not... I never really got into it. I wasn't as good at it as I wanted to be. I couldn't make a fibre that I liked. I wasn't very good at plying, and I've just realised that, do you know what, I love looking at the bats and things like that, but I'm never going to enjoy it as much as I thought I would. So I've got rid of all that. But if you are looking for spinning supplies, I can very much recommend World of Wool. And now apparently yarn. So he found this. He'd gone and Googled, I think. That's a really good true to life colour. He'd gone and Googled whatever he looked for, and he found this. And this is their fluff base. So this is 100% merino. They do this in multiple different colours. I didn't write down how many colours there were actually, but it's extremely soft. And they do this in a 4-ply, which this is, or they do it in a DK weight as well. And they've got quite a few different yarns on there. They've not got a massive range, but they've got quite an interesting kind of mix of stuff. And so far, this has been really lovely to knit in. So this is the shade Fuzzy Duck, which I think is really, really accurate. I like the names. They're all sort of animal themed, quite a lot of them. And this is, where are we? 50 grams is 175 metres approximately. And that was £3.60 for 50 grams. So it's not super expensive either. And the shipping was really quick. The last 2 times, so I've ordered some more to make something else in future for him. But both times they came in big boxes. So they came really well packaged, really protected. And weirdly, having never heard of this before and bought some to make his gloves, then I watched Sophie of the Knit Pearl Girls' most recent podcast, and she talked about having used this. The one thing I will say, I feel like fluff is a really weird name. This is not a fluffy yarn. It's 100% merino, and it's quite a high twist. It's not fluffy. Like, it's a lovely, smooth yarn. Fluff is a strange thing to call 100% merino yarn. But anyway, very nice. Very much enjoying knitting with it. I'm going to try and pronounce the gloves that I'm making. I'm probably going to butcher it, so I'm going to apologise in advance. These are the very basic Dancing at Lughnasa gloves. Lughnasa, I don't know how you're supposed to say that. I think they're named after a play. They're a free pattern on Ravelry, and I think they're named after a play because I think she'd said on there that she'd knit these backstage whilst waiting to go on and do her whatever it was. Let me pop these on because I can just about get them on with the DPNs in. And this is where we're at. So we have the cuff done. I've split his thumb, and then we're working our way up the hand. But you can see there that the yarn's lovely. It's given a really nice sort of stitch definition, but it's nice and even. It's very soft on the hands because it's merino, and it's nice and cozy warm as well. It's got a nice deep cuff. The one thing I will say, so it comes in one size. It's a free pattern. It comes in one size, and it says the one size is an adult medium. I don't have adult medium hands, and this fits me really nicely. If anything, it's actually a little bit big. Let me take it off, or I pull it off needles. Yeah, it says it comes in an adult medium. I have big hands. I can't wear ladies' gloves. I've got massive hands. My hands are really close to the same size as my husband's, and my husband is 6'4" tall, and he's a man. So my hands are big. That does come in really handy, no pun intended, for when I'm making him gloves, because I can try them on me and they'll fit him if they fit me, especially for these, because I want them to essentially be liners. I want them to be a good fit, so I keep trying them on and seeing how they're fitting. But yeah, I'm knitting it exactly to pattern, and it says one size, and this is not one size. This is big, so just bear that in mind. I guess you could size down a needle. These are on 2.75mm DPNs. 2.75mm is the recommended size, and I think it actually does recommend DPNs. I didn't even say this is by Carroll Gilmour. Sorry, I completely forgot to say the designer name. And like I say, it's a free pattern. There's about 200 projects on Ravelry, so it's not a hugely well-known one, but it's also not completely new either. So far, I've found no issues in the pattern. It's not maybe the clearest to understand all the time, but I have been able to work it out without too much trouble. And I am going a little bit off piece now, because at this point I'm going to start trying it on, and rather than it'll say, oh, knit till this bit measures this much, I'm going to knit until it's ready to split for the fingers on my hand kind of thing, because then it will fit him. But I'm going to use the numbers for the finger split and everything like that from there. So yeah, this is where we're at, and it is looking really, really nice. I bought 3 balls of the fluff because I wasn't really sure how much I was going to need for some gloves. I didn't pick the pattern until after I'd got the yarn. So I'm probably going to, looking at, this is how far I am through the first one, and I've barely made a dent into the first ball, so I don't excuse me, I don't think I'm going to need all 3 balls, but I'm sure I can find something to do with that afterwards. Maybe some colour work on a cuff for some socks or something like that. So yeah, they are the very basic gloves. I'm not going to try and say the bit in the middle. They were cast on the 18th of November, so they've been on the needles for 4 days, so they're going quite quickly. And then the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is a little test knit. I can't help myself with test knits. I've given up apologising for it because I just can't help myself. So this is a very quick little test knit for Sana of Chai Crafts, lovely Sana. And this is essentially something quite similar to a Sophie scarf. It's a little shawlette thing. This is the Tilly scarf. And yeah, this is going to be essentially like a little neckerchief kind of thing. I am not normally a neckerchief kind of person. And I've sort of poo-pooed the Sophie scarf and everything like it. Those little scarflet, shawlette things. And then I realised I'm being quite close-minded because I've decided I don't like it and it won't suit me when I've never tried it. So when Sana put out a call for this, I thought, do you know what? I've got yarn. It's a quick little project. It's not going to take me long. Let's try it. And I do have people who I can gift this to if I don't like it. It's also a really nice little process knit. So this is I'm probably about halfway through at the moment. So I've done all my increases going up to the middle, then you knit straight for a bit, and then I'm going to decrease. And it's sort of this lovely moss stitch texture, which is really beautiful. I am knitting this in John Arbon Yarnadelics Sport. It's a fingering weight pattern. It's going to be a free pattern as well, I should mention. It's going to be a free pattern. It's going to be coming out probably in about a week and a half's time, something like that. So it's very close to the end of the test knit, but it is a very quick knit, so it isn't going to take me much longer. This technically is a sport weight yarn, and you could definitely get away with it as a sport weight, but also it's working quite well as a fingering weight. It isn't a super thick sport weight, and it's working really nicely as this. And I just love how the colours are coming out in it. Yarnadelics, it might be easier for me to show you in the bowl. The way they do them is, you can't see it very well. I'm pretty certain it's multiple different colours that are then, they're dyed in the separate strands and the strands are then plied together rather than the yarn being plied and then all of it being dyed. So it gives you this real sort of variation in the colours. And obviously the dog hairs give an extra variation to that as well. I'll put up a picture from their website because it's easier to see in that, or go and watch. Marina Skua uses it quite often, and Laura Penrose uses it quite often. That's their Apple Door DK, but they do the same with that. So you get the beautiful range of colours in there. And yeah, you can't see it popping up, but there's some purples, there's some greens, there's some yellows, there's some blues. The overall colour is this beautiful, beautiful dark mossy green. But yeah, there's a lot of variation in there. And what was I saying? Why was I talking about that? Oh, this is the colour Black Gold of the Sun. That's what I was going to say. I'm pretty certain they're all named after songs. It's all music themed. So this is the colourway Black Gold of the Sun. You get 333 metres per 100 grams. So it isn't a fingering weight. But yeah, it does work nicely as a fingering weight. It's quite nice to be able to get sport weight in the UK because it isn't really a thing that we do very much. It's quite unusual to see it. But this is 100% Falklands Corriedale, and this is £19 per 100 grams, so it's not super cheap. I got this, I think, when I was doing a test knit of something else, and the designer had a test code, a discount code for it. So I got it a little bit cheaper, and then I ended up not using it for that because the colour was just a bit dark and it wasn't showing the pattern that I wanted it to. And I had some other stuff in stash that would work, so I used that. And then, yeah, I decided to use that for this, and it's beautiful. So this has been on the needles for 4 days. This is on 3mm needles. The test is technically due tomorrow, but she's been quite, well, as flexible as she can be. She's got a deadline for the release of the pattern because it's being released with another pattern as like a little free add-on sort of thing. But really, she said, as long as we get it done by the 30th at the very latest, then we're all good. I'm still hoping to have this done by tomorrow. But yeah, this is essentially 4 days worth of progress. And really, I did about that much in the first 2 days. Then I got up to there on yesterday. I've got a stitch marker there. And then the rest of all this flat knitting, straight knitting is yesterday. It's once you've memorised it, I found the increases a little bit hard to keep track of, just because I found it quite hard because I've got a dark yarn and it's moss stitch. I found it quite hard to see my increases. Once I'd got through those, I got to the flat bit, and I can do this without looking. I've just been doing this in front of the telly. It's really easy to memorise. So that is the Tilly scarf by Chatcrafts. And that's everything. So I definitely did have enough to talk about in a week. What I do, and what I thought I would do as part of this is I like to try and keep myself organised. As you may be able to tell, I don't know if it's super obvious, I like to work on a lot of different projects at once. So I mentioned last week I have my whiteboard upstairs where I have my list of deadlines and what I need to work on next. And these are all things that obviously there's only there's 3 deadline projects in here, and they're all the ones that I'm working on as priority. So I do that, but what I also like to do is on a weekly basis try and set myself like a to-do list for my knitting, where I want to get to on each project. So I thought we might set a little bit of a to-do list here and see if I've got to it next week. So what I'd like to have done, I'd like to have these finished, or at least the first glove. It's getting warm again tomorrow, so they're not going to be super useful straight away. But at least the first glove finished and the second glove cast on from these next time I speak to you. I'm putting it out into the world because it will be done. This will be done. This absolutely needs to be done, so this will be done. You'll be able to see me wearing this as a finished object next week. Decide if I look good or stupid in it. I think I might look stupid. I want to have another repeat done on this, or I say another repeat, but actually if I've got one of these stripes done on this, that would be good. This is not a deadline knit, so when I can work on it, great. This might be optimistic, but realistically I need to get some work done on this. So on the Amelia, I would like to have both of the fronts done by next week. So this is probably going to be the thing that's going to take most of my time in the next week once I've finished the Tilly scarf. I'd like to have both of the front panels done, or at least the second one well underway and the first one done. And let's be honest, I'd like to sit and just work on this. But I think if I can get to maybe finish this colourwork stripe and do another stockinette stripe by next week, that would be decent. So that's my aim. So, can we do it? Can we not? Will I get distracted with something else? Probably. That always happens. So probably. But yeah, that's what we're aiming for next week. It's been really good catching up with you weekly, actually. Hopefully I'll be able to continue doing this sooner. So that's everything I've got to share with you this week, and that's the plans for next week. So I will leave you there. I hope you've enjoyed. I've definitely enjoyed, actually. I quite like coming to you weekly, I think, so far. I like having that sort of weekly touch point, and like I say, I do already like to do weekly to-do lists, but it gives me a bit more of a, okay, I'm going to be talking about this on Friday, so let's get it done so we can get it out and get it, actually say whether I've done it or not. So yeah, really, really proud and pleased with everything I'm working on at the moment. I'm still not, like I said, I'm still out of that, having got those socks done. I'm still out of that period that I was in of feeling sort of guilty about my knitting, not really wanting to work on stuff. I'm still very excited by everything I've got, and I've got some really exciting things coming up. I've been asked to do a preview knit for a friend who's designing something, and she's potentially got a test knit coming up as well. I've seen the thing she's testing, and it's gorgeous. I can't wait to show it. It's a cardigan with some really interesting details, so I can't wait for that one. I'm potentially going to be sample knitting for one of my favourite yarn dyers. I'm so excited about that. I've got a couple of other test knits coming up that aren't due till much later in the year. They're in next year. So I'm swatching for those, and I'm going to be getting ready for those and showing you those. So I'm really excited for everything that's coming up, and I'm really enjoying my craft at the moment. I'm just using, trying to keep myself organised with deadline, because I do also, the reason I like test knitting and sample knitting and things like that is because I get the dopamine from finishing the deadline and finishing the project. So keeping myself organised, ticking those off, and that's where the smaller projects have come in as well, because I'll get a little bit of a dopamine hit every time I finish one of these. So yeah, really feeling good about it at the moment, really enjoying it. Learnt my lesson to switch between projects, and yeah, let that be a lesson to all of you. Take breaks, stretch, do what you need to do, because my God, the pain on Sunday was not good. I couldn't really knit most of the day. I did quite a lot of work on my crochet blanket, because in the evening, once I'd had a break most of the day, I could do a little bit of crochet, but I was really struggling to knit. Even to the point where, like, my little finger, because I'm an English style knitter, I hold the yarn with that little finger and then I throw it, and even that finger hurt. And I'm still, honestly, today is the first day when I haven't got like a knot in that shoulder, and that's all from overdoing it on Saturday. So learn my lesson that I didn't learn until I pushed it too far. And just be kind to yourself, your body, take it steady, take breaks. And yeah, on that note, which is basically do as I say, not as I do, I realise, I'll see you all in the next one. When we come back next week, I feel like, what's the date today? We won't be far off starting opening advents and things like that, will we? It's the 22nd of November when I'm filming this. So it won't be far off Advent time, which is very exciting. It feels like Christmas is coming around very, very quickly this year. And in the next one, I will talk about the Advents that I've got. I am planning on filming an Advent pattern roundup. And I'm hoping to get that filmed for you next week and out just in time for Advents. Just in time. But yeah, that will be coming soon. So if you want to not miss out on any of that and you want to keep up with the weekly updates and things like that, hit like, hit subscribe, drop me a the postie came. It's the wrong colour. Why can't I have a burgundy one anymore? I used to say European Union on it as well. Not super happy that it doesn't. Anyway, on that note, it looks really strange. It looks really strange. On that note, before I go, before I start waffling about my passport, I'm going to leave you there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I was going to say like, subscribe, all that. We're heading towards 1,000 subscribers. When I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to do quite a large giveaway. So if you want to get us to that point, subscribe if you're not already. Suggest it to people you think that might like it. And yeah, we'll be able to do a giveaway relatively soon. Have a fab day, weekend, evening, whatever it is where you are, guys. And I will see you next week. Bye.